Cancer research and advances in cancer are relatively new. If one looks at the death rate in cancer from the 1950s to 2000, there really wasn't a change. We've actually seen the first decline in the death rate of cancer from 2004 to 2006, and it's not because of a great discovery, it's because women are taking less estrogen replacement and people are smoking less. So the big war on cancer that Nixon declared over 25 years ago hasn't been a remarkable success, but it's all changing. The playing field is changing dramatically, and all of a sudden technology is being applied to disease. So I went into cancer 10, 15 years ago, and I was at a great training hospital in Baltimore, Johns Hopkins. And at the time, they told me that people didn't go into cancer if you were smart. You went to cardiology or pulmonary. It was not an academic field. Well, it's the opposite now. There's tremendous hope and tremendous new therapies we can bring to patients. And so part of the role of ABC Squared is pushing them into brain cancer. For the good or for bad, most of these therapies are developed by biotechnology and pharmaceutical companies. And they're driven by their quarterly earnings. And brain cancer is a relatively small disease. So what we can do as a foundation is start to get that basic data in the academic labs across the country and go to the pharmaceutical and biotech companies and say, listen, we're going to reduce your risk. We'll show you how this drug can apply to brain cancer, and we'll help you do your trials. And by pushing and reducing that risk, we're getting more therapies for brain cancer. And so the collective number of clinical trials in brain cancer is going up on a yearly basis. The new therapies for brain cancer are exciting and encouraging. And it's not the days of old where it was one of the last cancers where drugs were tested. We're pushing earlier and earlier for these hot, exciting, molecularly targeted therapeutics to be in patients with brain cancer to benefit them. Brain cancer is a difficult cancer historically to study because it's a smaller cancer and that there haven't been a lot of patients studied. We don't have a lot of tissue collected that's been studied by these newer technologies. In general, we've been studying the larger cancers. Brain cancer, it turns out, is driven by several very important pathways. And what we're learning now is how those pathways work, how they talk, and how we can target them. And so when you look at brain cancer today and you look at brain cancer 5 years ago, it's very, very different. We're starting to understand what's happening. And it's reflected with how patients are doing. Patients are doing much better today than they did 5 years ago. The hope, what's in the pipeline today, is much different than it was 5 years ago.